Alright, so when we left off yesterday, we had the main section of the pond to the depth that we wanted. We had the footprint where we wanted. What we still needed to work on was shaping the bank the way we want it. So Joe the operator's back and he's gonna help me build this into more of a pond shape. So I'm really excited with what we were able to get done by ourselves, but with a more experienced guy here, I look forward to seeing what it looks like. Now, he's only got about a half day on it and then I'll be back on my own, but I'll take what help I can get. By the end, not only will we have water in the pond, but somebody goes wading. So this is the 4th video on digging this pond, and we did it in 4 days. I wasn't sure if I could dig the depth that I wanted in the size footprint that I wanted and still be able to drive in and out of it. So I built it kind of with terraces in it. I dug as deep as I could from ground level and flattened that out where I could drive it. Then I dug from there as deep as I could, and I was able to drive down that terrace and down into the bottom, and that worked, and we got the majority of the dirt out. But I really didn't want that terrace to be the final shape. I wanted to cut it into a clean slope all the way down. All I told Joe was that we'd like it to be more of a clean slope all the way down, and he just went to work and accomplished exactly what I was hoping it would look like, and he did it in a couple of hours. On the top slope, he just set the dirt out as he cleaned it, and I moved it with the tractor. Down in the bottom of the hole, there was no way to set it all the way out, so he did have to move it all twice, but I think that's fairly standard for this type of work. Basically, the same thing he did at the top to create the slope, he did again where I had the corner cut for this little terrace I built. Several people asked me in the comments why I wanted to dig this pond out bigger, and there's a couple of reasons. The most obvious one is that quite a few people in the family like to fish. I don't really fish much myself, but I enjoy the idea that they can come over here and do that, and we can do a better job stocking the pond if we widen it out and have this section that's a little deeper than the main part. For me, the number one thing is just water management. There's 20 acres with a hill, and there's several low points on the property that hold water and are muddy. What I want to do, and I have a vision for how I'm going to accomplish this, is funnel all the rain that lands on the property into this pond through swales and actual drain lines. If I can get this pond full and keep it full, I may use it as a source of water for irrigating my Christmas trees and my garden and anything else, because pond water is going to be more nutrient rich than water out of the spigot. So that's a big part of it for me, but also just the aesthetic of a pond is really nice, and we did decide that we're going to try the island, which you'll see towards the end, and I want to set a windmill on the island, and I think it'll look really nice. I stopped Joe right before this clip and I asked him a handful of questions about how you go down or up or across a steep slope in a machine like this. Whether you use the boom as a counterbalance and put it above you, or if you're using it to catch yourself if it starts to fall. And he told me that there's a couple different strategies depending on what you're doing, and he demonstrated a couple of those for me, and this is one of those ways for getting down a steep slope.
Man, I always had stories about the city life and the crazy nights. Figure I should probably give it a try. Maybe check it out, see what it's all about. But the traffic was fast and the money was slow. The people I met you never get to know. I kinda miss this place I used to live back home. 'Cause up here it's breakneck, paycheck, rat race, what's next? I'm tired of feeling like a small fish in a big pond. I think I'll go back where I came from, where everybody knows my name. My friends are still the same. I guess the slow life hit me just right, like a bonfire on a cold night. Hell, and you can keep your 9 to 5. Happy with the simple life. Yeah, I ain't here to try to change your mind. I'm trying to save your time, in case you're thinking about breaking out the bucket list. Girl, you can skip this funny business. 'Cause up there it's complicated and overrated. Down here everything is understated. That's alright by me. I got everything that I need, but there is breakneck, paycheck, rat race, what's next? I'm tired of feeling like a small fish in a big pond. I think I'll go back where I came from, where everybody knows my name. All my friends are still the same. I guess the slow life hit me just right, like a bonfire on a cool night. Yeah, you can keep your 9 to 5, 'cause I'm happy with the simple life. Tired of feeling like a small fish in a big pond. I think I'll go back where I came from, where everybody knew my name, and all my friends are still the same. I guess the slow life hit me just right, like a bonfire.
Now we're down to the strip in between the two pond sections. And I debated back and forth quite a bit what to do with this. Originally I was going to cut the whole thing out and join the whole pond. And then I decided to make an island. So we're about a third of the way onto this bridge, and we're going to start cutting it out. And then eventually we'll get the other side cut out and leave an island in the middle that's maybe a 10-foot square. We have our huge pile of topsoil and then another huge pile of clay, and we're keeping those separate. And we didn't want to mix what we dredged out of the pond with either of those piles. So at this point, Billy's doing the digging, and I'm hauling what he digs up with the dump trailer and dumping it all the way on the far side of the pond so that it can sit back there out of the way and dry out. We are right at the point where we're ready to break the dam and let all the water rush in. So it's pretty exciting. I know I'm going to get some comments on why we didn't pack this in or why you didn't see us packing this in. Well, I trust Joe's opinion on most things, and what he told me is that the clay at the bottom didn't need to be packed because we didn't remove it or move it at all. It's been packed under the soil for the last however many years, and we did track around on it quite a bit with the excavator. So that just left the sides, and that's all got clay behind it. Even the topsoil that we pulled up from here is basically clay, and you can form it in your hand. I was considering options for heavy rollers or a plate compactor or what I could use, and he basically just told me I wasn't going to need it. And I took his word on it, and as I'm editing this, the pond's been holding water for 4 days now, and the water level has not moved at all. If I was going to pack anything, it would be the last 2 foot of the far bank that you see on the right side of the screen, and I could still do that because it's going to be months before the water level rises that high with us being in the dry season. Alright, so throughout the process of digging this, my plans have changed a few times just as I learned something new or gave it some more thought. And what we settled on is to have an island out here, and we've dug one side of the strip out to the island, and it's almost dark and this goes back in the morning, so I'm not going to get the other side cut out for the island. So for right now we're going to have a peninsula, but over the next few weeks I'll bring the tractor back down here, put the backhoe on it, and I'll finish digging that out and finish shaping up the top of this bank. I'm thrilled because I rented this excavator to do another job up the hill and prep the site for the new building. And as an afterthought, I thought, well, maybe I can start on the pond. I certainly didn't expect to get to this point, but I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. I'll put links on the screen right here to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.